Okay, so today is Thursday, November 20th, and I'm here to give you your fishing report on Table Rock Lake. But before we get into the fishing report, let's get into some of those fish catches.
Yeah. Yeah, largemouth. Oh, son. That's a big smallmouth. Little guy. No, no little guy. No largemouth. No spot. Ooh, spitting up shad. Look at that. Size of our bait. Good old spot. It's a big largemouth. Well, I mean, it's a 2.5 pounder. I was just on bottom. He did. Woo!
You were literally like 30 feet short.
Yeah, he just saw the splash. I was like, oh, I missed it. And I was all of a sudden, I was like, oh, there he is.
So the GoPro went out. We're still out here on the same spot. Here's Dane, and we're just catching just slaunch donkeys. Ain't that right, Dane?
Oh yeah.
So I'll put this in the video. So anyways, yeah, biggins. Okay, so you can see what we were doing. We were shaking that minnow. I know this is a big controversy with some people, and some people it's not. Do I like minnow fishing? No, I like traditional fishing, but to feed my family and to make money out in the tournament world, to compete with the top best out here in Missouri, I have to learn that technique. So Dane is one of my great friends, and I was like, hey, I need help. I'm not good at minnow fishing, and I say that proudly. You know, I'm not good at it. So I wanted him to go out and show me what I was doing wrong, what kind of techniques do I need to be doing a little bit better, how do I do what you guys are doing. And I want to tell you what, I learned more from Dane in those 8 hours I was out there with a boat with him than I could ever learn just by myself. Sometimes we have to call in help and, you know, ask for help. That's why, you know, my dad and my brother always, you know, I liked fishing with my dad and I loved fishing with my brother too. But they both had two different techniques. One was a good shaky head. You know, my dad was good with a shaky head and he was good with bottom baits. My brother was good with crankbaits and top waters and stuff like that. So I got to learn a whole variety of techniques. So instead of bashing these young kids, and I'm not saying that you're bashing the young kids, but some of these people on the YouTubes and all that stuff is doing that. Let's not bash them. Let's join them. Let's get to know their perspective and what they're doing to be better fishermen, because to be a better fisherman, you have to learn a lot more techniques and to do the things that we love to do. And also with guiding, it's made guiding great, as you're about to see a picture here of William. William is a 12-year-old kid. Him and his dad got a guided fishing trip, and like I said, you can see the picture right here of this 4-pound smallmouth. I mean, it is absolutely a beast. And see, I made a mistake. I guess I didn't read the Bubba scales quite right, but with William's best 5, he put up 13 pounds with just his best 5 with smallmouth. So, and he caught some ginormous spots too as well, and his dad caught some fish too. His dad caught a nice smallmouth as well. So William, I'm sorry, you put up 13 pounds, not like 10 or 12 what I was saying. I just looked at the scales wrong, and I was in a hurry at the time. But William, he did a good job. I think that kid is gonna have a bright future in the fishing industry, and you know, who knows, he could be the next Kevin Van Dam. So all right, well, let's get into what we were doing. Now, some of the GoPro footage that you did see, it was great. And then there's some that I edited out just to protect Dane's spots. There's some big tournaments coming up this weekend, Saturday. I know Joe Bass is having one, and then Dane's in another one. I can't even remember the name of it, but I think it's taken out of like Moonshine or Mill Creek. But anyways, I didn't get all of the big fish catches, okay? Just to protect his spots and what he was doing to show me. But I'm gonna kind of tell you how we were doing it and what we were doing it with, okay? Also, there are gonna only be 2 baits from this week that I was catching all my giant fish on, as far as just as my guided trips, people were catching the bigger smallmouth on. So let's just get into it. I'm gonna move my book out of the way. And so when you're minnow fishing, The one thing that you really need to focus in on is trying to find bait and big balls of bait. Now, you can go right down the guts back in creeks, try to find those big balls of bait. You don't want to find just like little balls here, little balls there. You just want to find a ginormous one, because what I learned, a lot of these bigger fish will stay around the bigger balls of bait. If you go out there into the abyss and you're out there on the main lake, you're gonna have to look for birds. The last catch that you saw, I think, or the bigger smallmouth that we were talking about that I caught, it just kind of got cut off early. I didn't get the camera on in time and everything else, but that big smallmouth that I caught, Dane said birds, and we whipped over there, and we were out in the middle of nowhere. And I was like, what are we doing? We're in 128 feet, and we see a ball of shad, and then we see 5 groups. And this was funny because Dane threw out there and he missed them, and then I threw out there, which was like 10 feet short, and as soon as my bait hit the water, you just see this smallmouth rocket over there. I mean, he just clobbers it. It was a nice fight for a good 3 or 4 minutes. Stuff like that, guys. I talked to you about trying to find the birds. Go look for them out there in the middle. But in some of these bigger, larger creeks, you want to try to find the bait and get around the bigger balls of bait. Okay, so that's that key point. All right, now we're gonna move on to the bait. You want to have, I've got a St. Croix. It's a 7-foot medium power fast action. Okay, you want that medium light in the fast action. Okay, it gives them a lot more tip. You can really shake this minnow. As you can see, I have a bigger head on here, and what Dane says to do is you want to have 3 rods. Okay, he says he prefers the 610, and I do too, because the 610 allows you to have more control. Like the 7.1s and the 7.2s, they just kind of feel too long. Honestly, I feel like I have more control with a 610 and a 7-foot rod. Just that couple extra inches, but you get me in a 7.2 and it's just like my rod thing's just going everywhere because you're just sitting there shaking it and just doing this, and it's just not doing what it's supposed to do. So you want to get you 3 spinning rods. Get in a 610 to 7-foot, okay? That's covered. Now, let's get into the head size. The deeper you go, the bigger your head size, okay? So if you're out there in the abyss and you're fishing in 60 to 80 feet of water or 120 feet like we were, those fish are normally going to set up in around 40 to 50 feet, okay? Or like the smallmouth that we were targeting, the balls of bait were higher up in the water column, and they were only around in 20 feet of water, but we were out there in the middle. You have to search for them. They'll be around that ball of bait somewhere, but you want to have that bigger head size to get down into the 40 to 50 foot, and I'm talking half or bigger. I've got a 1/2 ounce on here. Dane says I need to step it up 1 more notch to get down there faster, because those fish, they're going to constantly move, okay? They're going to constantly, they're either going to be coming to you, going away from you, and you want that bait to get down there as quickly as possible to put it in front of your face. And I'm going to say this: if you put it down there in front of their face, they will eat it. Okay, they won't shy away from it. I promise you. If it's within about a 5-foot range, they're coming. They're sharking for it. You know. I would probably go to. You want to go to the smaller heads. The real, like the eighth ounce or a quarter or a 5/6. No, I would say the 5/16 would be in the middle. So if you're targeting bass that are in the 10-foot to 5-foot range that are up higher in the water column, you can throw that lighter head out there and just work it on top as fast as you can and shake it and reel it and come across them, and they will bite it. Dane showed me. And for like the 15 foot, you can go down to the 5/16, or I can't even remember what other size there was. You just want to have the small, the middle, and then the big one for the deeper water. Okay, so what we were using, he was using a baby 2Z. He says the 3-inch or the 4-inch is the best. Okay, I was catching mine on the mooch minnow. As you can see right here, it pairs great up with this queen jig head, and there it is. I think that's just electric shad, or just, no, that's just shad color. So I will link all this in the description below so that you can have the actual colors to do what you need to do this weekend. Another one that I was using a Brush Creek bait jig. This jig right here. The jig, it's deadly on main lake points and secondary points. You just have to be around some bait. Like I said last week, I was even catching them around brush piles too. I caught some bigger smallmouth around brush piles. Those longer flats, this bigger smallmouth have pulled up there. The largemouth bass, I'm gonna be honest with you, they seem like they're way out in the deep with those shad, and they're just underneath them. So that's how I've been catching mine. I've heard they've been catching some nice largemouth on bluff walls too as well. But the key is bait. You got to find that bait. So if you're out there about to go pre-fish tomorrow, I think the best thing that you could do is just go find where there is a lot of bait, and then put your forward-facing sonar down and just look to see what they're doing and what the fish is doing. I wouldn't even throw a bait out there unless you don't know how to minnow fish. But if you're a bank beater, you know, you can get away with the small square bills, sexy shad like the Strike King sexy shad, or there's one that's it's like a brown back with an orange bottom. I would try that one too. The water is very, very clear, so translucent colors will really, really work. You know, spinner baits, chatter baits, stuff like that, you're gonna wanna have in your arsenal. But to catch those bigger fish, I would go with the jig and go with a 1/2 ounce. I've got a green, I asked Brush Creek to make me one like this. It's green. I've been catching, it's gore green with a little bit of purple on it. I've got one like that, and then I've also been catching them, it's the green with the brown, and it's worked really, really well. I haven't really thrown peanut butter and jelly. I've thrown it some and just can't get any. A lot with my guided trips, I've been using the PEEWEE jewel jig because Brush Creek hasn't come out with the PEEWEE yet. And it's a lot easier for my guided trips for those people to throw that stuff and throw it out there on those main lake points and just work that smaller jig across there. And it has some chartreuse in it. You're gonna get you some bigger bites that way as well. So guys, that's all I have for you this week. I hope this helps you out. I know with the rain coming in, things are going to be a little bit different. The water temperatures were in the 59, so it's probably gonna drop those temperatures with this cooler rain. I'm wanting to say probably at least 2 degrees colder, so you're probably looking in the 57, maybe 58 degrees. Don't know what the winds are supposed to be doing, but I think we're gonna have cooler nights coming again and not this 75 to 80 degree weather. So, all right, so let's get into this week's Faith Talk. And this week I am in the book of Timothy. It is 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. It says, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and self-discipline." So let me break this down. Paul is writing to Timothy, okay? Paul is in prison. And he is writing these encouraging words to Timothy because Timothy is kind of being persecuted. He's running for his life. He's scared. He's trying to preach the word of God, and everywhere he goes, he's just getting stoned. Bad things are happening. He's getting scared. So literally, he is writing words of encouragement saying that God is not of fear. So guys, anything that you're fearful of doing, it's not from God. Like, that's not how God works. That's the devil's tactic, okay? The devil brings fear into your life, so it creates anxiety, depression, and a bunch of other things to get you to step into your destiny. Do you understand? If the devil can use fear against you, then you won't step into that. But see, God, it says right here, God has given you the power, love, and self-discipline. And I know growing up, I felt like I had no self-control over things I did. I didn't do this, I didn't do that. I watched this and I watched that, and I shouldn't have done those things. And I felt like I had no self-control. Even as growing up into my older ages, I had to ask God to say, hey, I can't do this on my own. I need your power, your will, and your strength to help me to be very disciplined in my life. That includes like the movies we watch, the music that we listen to. Yes, I love to jam out, but sometimes some of that music that we listen to is not so good. It puts bad thoughts in our heads, and things. Some people struggle with lustful thoughts when they see things on their phone and they don't have no self-control or self-discipline. That's why we have to ask God to intervene and to teach us and get us to where we need to be. So guys, I hope this helps you out, encourages you today, that I just want you to know that the devil, he's out there and he's got a lot of friends, and that's what he does, is he sends fear in our lives to get us from stepping into our destiny. So guys, if you're going through something that you want to pursue and you feel like you feel like God is trying to push you into doing that and you're so scared, just ask God for his power and his strength, and he will give it to you. He will give you just enough for what you need for that day. So guys, that is it on the Table Rock Fishing Report, and I will see you next week. Actually, I'm sorry. You will not see me next week. Next week is Thanksgiving, and me and my wife are traveling to Chicago to see her family. So we will not be here doing a fishing report next week. I might put some shorts up on YouTube, on my YouTube shorts, to kind of capture some fish catches through maybe Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. But we will be leaving out Wednesday afternoon to go to Chicago. So guys, I love you and God loves you. So we will see you in 2 weeks on Table Rock Fishing Report.